Hi, this is Amy Savage Flores, and this is my 2018 yearly submission for the Art to Ride Associate Trainer Program. In this video, I am working with Dagny. She is a 10-year-old Fjord mare. I've posted clips of her a little while back doing some work in hand, and I got some feedback saying that she was very forward and she needs to work on relaxing and slowing down. She has come a long way since then and has learned she can slow down. I'm very happy with the walk work she has given me in this video. Dagny has been doing Art to Ride 3 days per week since March 2017. Her owners bought her in 2016 to be a vaulting horse. At that time, she only had 90 days of training as a driving horse. This mare is very sensitive. In fact, if you click or make any sort of noise, she will just jump forward. One time I sneezed while I was riding her and she shot forward. So it's been interesting working with her and trying to get her to relax and calm down. This mare did not really like vaulting, so her owners decided to put her in training with me. This mare has been pretty difficult because she is so strong in her neck and her forehand. Obviously, fjords were not bred or made for this type of work. So I found that her progress is much slower than some of the other horses that I've worked with. It has definitely been a challenge for me to figure out how to get her to stretch without pulling on me. At times she pulls me to the outside, so I have to set my hands and resist in order for her to understand that she can't bulldoze through me. This year I've had a lot of changes. I started working completely for myself. Before I worked part-time as an instructor for a lesson program. I moved my business in June to this facility here that I'm working in this video. And then I had a baby in August. And so there was a lot of time where I wasn't riding. I stopped riding when I was 5.5 months pregnant. And then I was on maternity leave for 2.5 months after that. So right now I'm only riding about 3 times a week and trying to build back up my fitness and my core strength, as you lose a lot of that from not riding for many months and also from having a baby. So I've just been slowly getting back into it. I'm really happy with the walk work that Dagny's giving me in this video. She's really starting to slow down and relax. She's coming into a nice stretch. You'll notice that I don't use a dressage whip with her because she's so sensitive. When I click, she seems to step up and under. I have used a whip before, but it just made her really rush and be super nervous. And so I took it away for a while, and I've been able to accomplish a lot more relaxation without it. But I may decide to try to introduce that again because I think it would be really helpful for her to understand that the whip means for her to move away with that hind end. And then you'll see that I lift with my inside rein here and give a little click when she starts to fall in, and she moves right back out. I like that she's staying really soft and relaxed. And I keep working at getting her as low as she can go. Ideally, we'd like her to be stretching all the way down to the ground. And then you'll see that I stretch up a little taller with my body and use my voice and ask her to halt. And that was really good for her. I'm super happy with the progress that she's made. So then I'm going to go ahead and get her ready for lunging. And I do use side reins on her since she likes to pull on me. I feel like it's helpful for her to have that boundary with the outside side rein to try to keep her from pulling out too much. I did try a chambone on her at one point because of how she keeps her neck so high. I thought that maybe the pull pressure would be helpful for her, but it really didn't seem to make a difference, so I decided to take it off, and I'm just using the side reins for now. And you will see that this mare really needs a constant reminder to stay stretching. So mostly I do modified work in hand on the lunge so that I'm close enough to her that I can adjust her body. And that has been very, very helpful for her. If I let her out too far, she just completely blocks me out, raises her neck, and runs. So it's best if I can just stay close to her. And then I try to walk with her as we go so that she's not just staying on a teeny tiny small circle. And you'll notice that I do use a lunge whip with her. I keep it rolled up and closed, and then I use the handle side of the whip to direct her out. She was ridden in a clinic by my colleague with Karen Loshbaugh last year, and Karen recommended we do this with the whip because she's so sensitive. She doesn't seem to need much more forward with the lunge whip, but she does need the reminder of where to put her body and to step under and out with her inside hind leg. And this technique has really been a great help for Dagny. So you'll see that I take a hold with passive resistance on the lunge line to get her to soften, and I point at the same time I point the whip towards her barrel and in order to get her to step under. And this really helps her to go into a longer stretch. And you'll see that I have to keep on reminding her, but when I do, she does react well and stretch down. So here we go to the trot. She had a little trip there, and I do notice that today her feet were a little bit tender. We've had lots of rain and mud in Northern California. Before this video, it had rained for 2 weeks straight, and we don't have a covered arena, so we were out of work for a little while waiting for the arena to dry out. And her feet definitely seem to be a bit sensitive from all that wet. But the trot work is very, very tough. Her tendency, you can see, is for her neck to be straight up and for her to just kind of run. And on my end, it feels like she's trying to drag me. So you'll see that I set myself to keep her coming around so she understands that she's not allowed to pull and drag me. And then I soften and try to get her to give a little bit. And you'll see that she stretches a tiny bit, but she comes right back up. And she's definitely not close to where she needs to be in the stretch. She needs to go way, way down to the ground. And really what she's doing here is just giving a tiny bit. And it's so hard because I don't want to keep her on a teeny tiny circle, but if I don't stay close enough to her, I won't get any sort of stretch. So if I let her out on a bigger circle, it's just like same thing at the walk. She just completely blocks me out. So I do my best to walk with her and stay close to her so that I can direct her body. And it doesn't seem to be a strength issue in her back. I've had Dr. Joanna Robson work on her before, doing some body work, and she said that her back is super strong. I think it's more of like a relaxation issue for Dagny, and also really a balance issue. Stretching down takes a lot more work, and she needs to build her core and find her balance within the stretch. So we'll just keep on working on it. And after the trot, I always want to bring her back down to the walk to remind her that where I really want her is stretched all the way down and out. So then I go ahead and change directions. And my goal is to get her relaxed and stretching down. And so I'm just taking a hold with the lunge line and trying to ask her to step under with that inside hind. She gets a little bit excited and trots off, but I just bring her back down to the walk. And just keep working on it, keep asking for what I want. She slowly gives me more. There, she stretched a little bit better. It's just a hold and a release and a reminder of asking her to stay stepping under with that inside hind. And then I bring her up to the trot this way. And again, she wants to just run and bring her neck straight up. So I take a hold and remind her to keep turning and not to drag me. And I'm using the whip to try to send her hind end out so that she steps under with that inside hind. And there's moments where she gives a tiny bit, but it's definitely not all the way, and she does not stay there very long. So I'm just keep at it for a little while to see if we can improve and get a little more. And because we're not making much progress there, I just bring her back down to the walk and remind her that she needs to be stretching down and stepping under with that inside hind. And so here she comes and gives me a better stretch, which is good. The modified work in hand, like I said, has been really, really great for her at the walk. And I don't know how I can really incorporate it at the trot because I wouldn't be able to keep up with her. But I'm doing my best to kind of walk with her as I am lunging on the circle so that I can keep the circle bigger. And I'm still working on trying to figure out how to help her with that stretch. So here's my ridden work, and I start with a shorter rein, and then I slowly let her out as she lightens and doesn't pull me down. And so I kind of just wait for her to soften and move off of my inside leg before she is able to really reach down with her neck. And there's a teenager that leases Dagny that rode in a clinic with associate trainer Trisha Yates in December 2018. And Trisha felt that Dagny was really barging through the reins, and she recommended that we hold with passive resistance, not pulling, but setting our hands so that Dagny learns not to pull on us. Once Dagny stops trying to pull us, we can soften our hand and then allow her to stretch down. So it's just a moment where we're resisting her when she's trying to pull against us, and then when we soften, it makes her soften and relax as well. And her walk work is getting really good. It took a really long time to get even this, so I'm really proud of Dagny. And here I rode a leg yield, and she wants to raise her neck. So I try to soften her as we go over. And then again here I'm trying to ride a leg yield, and she's wanting to raise her neck, so I just follow with my hands, lift in the corners of her mouth to encourage her back down. And she's falling a bit with her shoulder at times, so I just set my hands to try to help her to rebalance. And then I soften, and she comes back to balance underneath me. It's really different to ride this mare because her neck is so short and so strong. And like I said, she's really not made to be doing this sort of work, so it's been quite the challenge. But I'm very, very happy with how far she's come with her walk work. So then I set up a leg yield here. She gave me a nice stretch through that turn, and I'm asking her to move off of my inside leg And she wasn't quite listening at first, and so I had to get after her with my leg a tiny bit. And then she starts to come over. There, I was able to get her to come into a little bit of a deeper stretch just by kind of lifting in the corners of her mouth and using my inside leg. And then she wanted to reach deeper. And then I ride one more leg yield here. And I'm really happy with how long she stays in the stretch here at the beginning. And then she comes up a little bit, so I follow with my hands. And then she comes back down. And I thought that was really good for her. I'm very happy with the rhythm of her walk. She usually just wants to rush and get really excited, so I'm happy that she's staying slower and relaxing more through her body. And then I bring her up to the trot, and she goes straight up with her neck. And you see that I follow with my hands. And I'm trying to encourage her to drop her neck by lifting in the corners of her mouth with the bit and the reins there. The trot is very, very difficult to get any sort of stretch from her. At the clinic with Trisha, she got on and rode her, and she was able to get Dagny to stretch at the trot. So I'm riding in a clinic with Trisha on February 2nd, and I'm really excited to get some help on how I can improve so that I can help Dagny get into a better stretch. And you'll see that on this day I was really trying to play with the passive resistance. But I really wasn't getting the result that I wanted. And now that I see myself on the video, I see that I don't have the timing quite right and that I'm really holding her up too much. So I'm using my hands a bit too much. Dagny really needs to learn how to listen to my leg better. And she's so sensitive that sometimes I don't use my leg on her quite as much as I should because she just overreacts to it. But in a way, I'm kind of training her to ignore my leg, or she's training me to not use my leg. Opposite problem. So I need to make sure that she allows me to use my leg. So I'm going to keep working on using a light leg and keeping it there until she relaxes, and then I can take it off of her. And you'll see that I'm getting little bits of her dropping her neck a little bit lower, but she's definitely not stretching all the way out. And I find that circles, big circles, really help her because she's churning. And so when you're on a circle, it helps your horse to step under with their inside hind. So I try to ride her on a lot of really big circles. When she gets straight, she seems to really just lock her neck against me, and I'm not able to get her to bend through her body. So I'm using circles to help get some bend through her body. Yeah, like here, I should be lowering my hands and widening them and allowing her to take the rein from me a little bit more. I can see that I'm holding her back too much. So like I said, it's been a really, really big challenge trying to figure out how to work with this mare, getting her to stretch all the way out in the trot. And there was a moment where I got a little deeper stretch. That was great. So hopefully I can keep getting some of that, where I just lowered my hand and allowed, and she did stretch a little deeper. So then I bring her back down to the walk and ask her to come back to that really long stretch. And I ride a little leg yield there. I've really found that leg yields really help her to activate that inside hind leg. So I'm going to start to incorporate a lot more of those leg yields. That seems to really help her. And here she goes into a really nice long stretch over her back. She seems to be a little bit more active and swinging in this walk after that trot work. And sometimes she kind of gets ahead of herself. And so that's why you'll see me setting my hands to kind of hold and rebalance her, so that she's not just falling and pulling with that strong neck and front end. And so that's why you'll see me lift and hold when I start to feel her just kind of dragging me. So I'm trying to help her to rebalance. And I ride a little leg yield there. Make sure that she's staying stretching and staying soft. She does a pretty good job. Yeah, so I'm really happy with the walk work that I've gotten from Dagny. I'm going to keep on working on this and also working on that trot work. So thank you for watching my video.